First lesson. You never know where a journey will take you. But in beginning, let me say just a few thank yous. To my predecessor, mentor, good friend, a man I once said on the House floor, a man of tough love sometimes, which you need in these roles. Sam Smith, thank you. I hope to serve as honorably and with as much dignity and leadership and integrity as you did. To Mike Fisher, a Third Circuit federal judge, former Attorney General, former state senator, former House member, and a great friend. Thank you for swearing me in. And to your wife, Carol, all the best. To Judge Judy Olson on the Superior Court, who I first had the opportunity to meet as a lector in our church. Thank you for swearing in these outstanding men and women. To Father and to Reverend, thank you for your gracious prayers. We will be needing them as we move forward. I will have some more thank yous, certainly, but I also, in particular, want to thank the outstanding remarks and motions, outstanding from my perspective, of John Taylor, Matthew Gobler, Sherelle Parker, Mike Regan, Pete Daly. From both sides of the aisle, you are great friends and great leaders in this Commonwealth. Your kind words meant so much to me. I will shortly make mention of important recognitions, but I just want to state a few words of introduction. You, my colleagues, have graciously bestowed upon me the honor to serve as the Speaker of this august body. It is with great humility and gratitude to each of you that I accept this gavel to preside over this chamber. Today is a great celebration for each of you as leaders and public servants in this great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. To you, congratulations. It is a truly significant day in each of your own personal journeys. And to your families and friends, welcome, and thank you for joining us on this momentous occasion. To all here and watching, it is our joy to have you with us as we open the 199th legislative session for the Pennsylvania House of Representatives. Governor Corbett, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate your leadership at the helm of the Commonwealth. Governor-elect Tom Wolf, thank you, sir. We look forward to working with you over the next 4 years. Justice Deborah Todd and Justice Coriel Stevens, from one of our separate and equal branches, thank you for being here today. Auditor General Jean D. Pasquale, a former member of this august body. Attorney General Kathleen Kane, Treasurer Robert McCord, thank you for joining us. I see former Speaker Robert O'Donnell, thank you, sir, for being here with us, along with our other former Speaker, Sam Smith. And a good friend to many of us, former United States Senator Rick Santorum, thank you, sir. County Executive from Allegheny County, my home county, Rich Fitzgerald. Mayor William Peduto of the city of Pittsburgh, thank you so much for joining us here today. I have many of my colleagues, past colleagues here. I'm afraid that I would miss some of you, but I want you to know you are always part of this great family. Former Lieutenant Governor William Scranton, my very good friend, who has been chair of the Swearing-In Commission for for this 199th legislative session. Bill, thank you so much. And Fred Anton, that many of us know on both sides of the aisle, who includes amongst his best friends Governor Rendell and former United States Senator Arlen Specter. Fred Anton, the vice chair of our swearing-in commission and president of the Pennsylvania Manufacturers Association. I will, at a later point, be talking about my family. They are so important a part of this great day. Today is a day that celebrates the continuing democratic experience in this Commonwealth and in our country. As you know, William Penn received his charter in 1681, some 334 years ago. Although Penn's authority over the colony was officially subject only to that of the king, through his quote-unquote frame of government, he implemented a democratic system with full freedom of religion. He founded Pennsylvania to escape persecution because of his religion. He instituted fair trials, elected representatives of the people in power, and a separation of powers. Ideas that would later form the basis of the American Constitution. This Pennsylvania House. The Provincial Assembly, started in 1682, is the predecessor of the General Assembly, in which each of us participates as a member. The Provincial Assembly first met at Upland near Chester on December 4th of 1682, just 40 days after William Penn arrived in the colony. After 3 years, the Assembly insisted upon greater autonomy from colonial authorities, sounds like the group I know, including the right to initiate legislation, and that became the foundation upon which representative government was built in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. How about this? The first speaker of the Provincial Assembly was Dr. Thomas Wynn, a physician, a minister, a barber, and a lawyer. He was one busy gentleman. With the adoption of the Pennsylvania Constitution in 1790, the Assembly was restructured as the House of Representatives. That first speaker was William Bingham of Philadelphia. This body, my fellow members, in which you serve, in which I serve, predates the United States Constitution by over 100 years. It is a body that has served continuously, as noted, since 1682. But not only that, Pennsylvania is where the American democracy was forged. The Declaration of Independence was ratified in Philadelphia on July 4th of 1776 and signed there on August 2nd, 1776. The Articles of Confederation, drafted by a great Pennsylvanian, John Dickinson, were drafted on November 15th, 1777 in York, Pennsylvania, and ratified there on March 1st, 1781. I'm sure the governor-elect was well aware of that. The United States Constitution was drafted and ratified under George Washington's leadership at the Constitutional Convention, again in Philadelphia on June 21st of 1787. And let us not forget what Abraham Lincoln knew. He knew that with slavery, and when the southern states seceded, that this noble experiment in democracy could crumble. And he led the Union in an important endeavor. When that great experiment of democracy was tested, the Battle of Gettysburg took place from July 1st, July 3rd of 1863, giving the Union an important victory. And President Lincoln delivered his famous Gettysburg Address on Pennsylvania soil on November 19th of 1863. Governor Corbett's wife served so admirably with respect to that great battlefield at the dedication of the Soldiers' National Cemetery in Gettysburg 4.5 months after that victory. You members here, you cannot I cannot take lightly the great history of democracy of which we are a part. We serve, as mentioned, close to 13 million citizens. Pennsylvania is the sixth most populous state in the nation. It has 18 congressional seats and 20 electoral votes. It is a place of great diversity. I have been blessed to travel in all 67 counties and to visit with members all across this state in their home communities. It is by far the favorite part of this position that I'm looking forward to and that I have had as being a leader in this body. I repeat that history to you and to myself because I do not want you to think that I do not know the gravity of the responsibilities that come with this position, one amongst equals, by the way, but in addition, the gravitas that comes with the position, and I will conduct myself accordingly. I want you also to know that I respect each and every one of you because you get elected just as I do by 65,000 members and have to report back to those constituents, your friends, as I do to the 28th district, but we also have obligations to the citizens of the Commonwealth as a whole. I invite you to travel across the state and meet with your colleagues from both sides of the aisle and to learn about their communities. I want to tell you a little bit about my family. Chairman Pete Daly provided you with a background, but I want, if they could stand again, my wife Lydia and my three boys one more time to tell you just a little bit about them, because just like I want to know about each and every one of you, I think it's important for the citizens of Pennsylvania to know about the Speaker and his family because they keep us grounded. Lydia is a successful professional in and of herself, but I must say she is a great team partner with respect to public service. She's a pediatrician in our community, offices up in Wexford in my district, but also in Pittsburgh, the city of Pittsburgh. And she is a great wife and a loving mother. I'm so proud to have her here today with me. Andrew is a sophomore at North Allegheny High School, plays baseball, basketball, and football, doing great at the grades, puts me in my place most every day. I think that comes with age 16, starting to learn how to drive a car. I told Lydia, oh my goodness. But I have to tell you, he is a great young man. Stephen is at Vincentian Academy up my way, and he plays soccer and baseball. Keeps reminding me he made high honor roll. We told him, Stephen, we know you took a year off, get back into gear, and he did. Exceptionally proud of him. You know, he's a middle kid, tussles with his mom a lot. I tell him, Steve, oh my goodness, could you just give it a rest here and there? He said, Dad, that's the message I've been giving to you for quite some time. My good friend, Chairman John Taylor, I think gave me a similar message once. Our youngest, age 12, sixth grade, North Allegheny, Marshall Middle School, Matthew. He participates in everything. We laugh about it all the time. Really into football this year, baseball, swimming, good student, lots of friends. He's got all the humor in the family. I asked him to give me a few jokes. He said, Dad, you're gonna get them wrong, so let's just stick to the serious part. Thank you, each of you. Have a seat. I am so blessed to also have my brother and sister, Becky and Terry, here, and my mother-in-law and father-in-law, Joe and Lori Comini, all great friends, and they help us drive kids around. We are very, very appreciative. Real briefly, just a few things about this chamber. To my good friends on the Democratic side, I want you to know that I served for many years in the minority, and here's what I learned, particularly when Sam and I worked with Speaker Keith McCall. If you delve into your facts, identify problems, and have good solutions, you can, I'm telling you, have, as you have, I think, many of you over the last 4 years, continue to have a significant impact. 119 did not get elected, 203 did, and I'm well aware of that. Each of you serve 65,000 members. And we recognize that each and every member has to be a part of the discussion and the movement of legislation in this body. I find that the committee process, as it has over the last 4 years, particularly with some of the outstanding chairs on both sides of the aisle that we have, that much of the important detailed work with good policy items happens on the committees. And we do not use the amending process much on the House floor when we put those bills up for a vote. I had an opportunity to be a part of items in the minority, but you have to be proactive about it, there is no doubt. Not only in terms of the work, but in terms of developing the relationships as well. Many of you have them. For those of you that are new, continue to foster them. To my friends from my party and my caucus, who I've had the distinct honor and pleasure to lead over the last 4 years, we have done very good things. We have been fiscal stewards with our teammates. We have worked on making sure there are good family-sustaining jobs in this Commonwealth. We have, with our colleagues, brought back integrity, but we have much more to do. We can continue to move important policy items together. I think the principles do matter, and sometimes there isn't an area to compromise. But that said, there's still much common ground. My dad was a lifelong Democrat. My mom was a lifelong Republican. I say this often, so I apologize, but I come from a mixed marriage. My parents often voted similarly, and they never missed voting. They were good citizens, responsible citizens. In moving forward, I want to cite a book. I know it's not Pennsylvania history, but the main character, Atticus Finch in To Kill a Mockingbird, in real life, the father, modeled after the father of Harper Lee, was not only an attorney, but a legislator in the state of Mississippi. And standing in a person's shoes is one of the first things that the main character, Atticus Finch, focuses on. And one of his early quotes to Scout, his daughter, Harper Lee, "You never really understand a person until you consider things from his or her point of view, until you climb into his or her skin and walk around in it." I have sometimes forgotten that. In this position, I'm telling you, I will never forget it. I would also tell you that I think amongst a wide variety of great characteristics to have, courage is amongst the most important. Sometimes you have to climb to new places and to forge new trails. And I think if you can explain it to those folks back home about where you're taking them, you can make such a significant difference. I have to, on just this note, make mention of fiscal stewardship. Folks, in the end, amongst the legislation that we pass, the one thing we constitutionally have to do is pass a budget. In passing a budget on time the last 4 years, I think that was important to get us back in that direction under the governor's stewardship. Because there needs to be a level of predictability and certainty for the citizens of Pennsylvania that rely on these expenditures. But when I talk to new members in our caucus, the first thing I focus on is on the revenue side in this regard. The money that we are budgeting or prioritizing is folks' hard-earned dollars. The personal income tax brings in over $12 billion annually, and the sales tax almost $9.5 billion annually, not to mention corporate taxes, taxes on energy, inheritance taxes, cigarette taxes, and other revenues. We must prioritize how we spend folks' hard-earned dollars. We must get more out of less. And we have to always be mindful that it's coming from other people, our citizens. There are great places where we provide as a result of it. Education, those with intellectual disabilities, the aged. We always must maintain that balance as we move forward. In New York, interestingly, there was a comment on former Governor Nelson Rockefeller, who was the Republican. And the columnist actually was complimenting the Democrat who followed, Hugh Carey. And the quote in the column said, "New York's best post-war governor, Hugh Carey, rescued the state and its largest city from the credit crisis that was a legacy of the Republican governors quadrupling spending in his 14 years." It is important that we keep Pennsylvania on sound fiscal footing for the citizens today and tomorrow. We would not be able to do this job successfully without great staff. I've been so blessed. I have many great staff members, but there are a few, with your respect, that I must thank personally. Sarah Kennedy, like my family, Christian Callahan, also like my family, Ralph Ladon, Karen Coates, our new Chief of Staff for the Speaker's Office, Dave Redicliffe, amongst others. Thank you for your friendship and for your service. All of the staff members on both sides of the aisle, I find, are people of great integrity and much dedication. In conclusion, I'm a fan of baseball, and there was a quote by a great pitcher that said, "Every day is a new opportunity. You can build on yesterday's success, put its failures behind, and start over again." That's the way life is, with a new game every day, and that's the way baseball is. As we approach the 199th legislative session, each and every day is an opportunity to reach some successes together. We're going to have some failures. It's the legislative process. We'll put them behind us, and we'll come back the next day and shake hands and figure out a way to get positive things done. God bless to each and every one of you. Thank you for your patience.